Hello, you're back with Dave and Tim at the Single Malt Review as we go into what is for us uncharted territory, Czech Republic. We have never had something from Czechia before, and today we're going to remedy that.
We sure are. Czech Republic, I have had a great many beers from the Czech Republic, and I think that's just about it. I don't really think of it as a place where spirits come from, besides, well, just you imagine vodka coming out of all of these places at all times, but not Rye Whisky. Rye Whisky, as we'll find out, in quotation marks, because this is a bit of an oddity.
In fact, they don't even call it Rye Whisky on the label because, well, it's not.
Yeah, there's something very European going on here. I was drawn to this one, as I often am, by the staggeringly affordable price sticker on it. This is a pretty rampantly cheap whiskey, and I wasn't particularly disappointed, but I was a bit mystified.
So this is the Old Hunter's Reserve from the Green Tree Distillery, is that correct?
Green Tree Distillery. Allegedly, if the rumours are to be believed, in operation since the 16th century, way back in 1518, which makes it a damn sight older than anything in the UK, or, well, by default, America.
This is a 4-year-old spirit aged in American oak and includes a macerated fruit component. So it's been soaked in dried fruit for some time, a secret recipe of root, and I'm not sure how it fits into the process. So at its basis you have a rye whiskey, but it's also going to have a very sweet fruity component on it too. As Tim has found, sure, I've never tried this one, so this is wholly new to me today.
And in addition to fruit, there is a distinct sugar on here. That fruit has left something behind that isn't just flavour. There is a sweetness going on here.
Dried fruit is like well over 50% pure sugar, so that could well do it.
So I guess purely taxonomically, we're dealing with a liqueur here.
That's why the word whiskey is carefully missing from the label.
This is going to be a difficult one to really talk on with a great deal of authority, because liqueurs do not often really come up here. But it has given it, false though it may be because of the sugar, a really beautiful example of what people refer to as the string of pearls effect, which is a display of viscosity in your whiskey, and highly sought after for traditional, typical whiskey, because it describes a good thick oily body on your whiskey, which is normally a product of sort of age and character. Here it's viscous because it's got stuff added, so we have to sort of nullify that one. But
it has also been artificially coloured with caramel, be honest about it on the label, which I commend. Otherwise, it's a nice colour for a rye.
Yeah, and so that's the basics. What does it actually taste like?
Well, on the nose, there is quite a strong rye character to it. I like that.
It's whiskey first. It's sort of whiskey, then fruit. You get 3 whiskies before you get
fruit
one fruit.
But there's hints of raisins and papaya. Others would think of often as dried fruit.
I get precisely a slightly cherry thing going on. Slightly cherry, think maybe a bit of like a Kirsch kind of a taste.
That would fit for that part of the world.
That cherry Coke with a bit of that pip still in it is what I get. But I think there's probably some, if you think your nose back to not quite Drambuie, but the OG Drambuie, the Dom Benedictine, which is infused with herbs and things as well as fruit. There's a little bit of that medicinal component there, which I think is sort of itself blending with the already quite medicinal component you get from rye spirit. So it's made to be weird, this one. And it's, I don't know, is it weirder or less weird on the tongue?
Less weird,
I think it's slightly less weird.
Yeah, the rye comes through first and foremost. It's got a really strong, fruity, sweet chase on it. But it's first and foremost a good, clean, slightly oily, but otherwise clean, crisp rye spirit. I like that.
So, and it's got quite a good, burn on it. It's certainly not older than 4 years. It's pretty youthful stuff. But I think that adds to the character, really.
Absolutely,
You're drinking something with a good backbone to it. Anyway, the fruit does not overstay its welcome. It does not dominate.
Yeah, it's not a sweet fruit liqueur or sweet schnapps or anything.
Yeah, whereas the aroma might have been, that was sort of whiskey fruit. The palate, that's more like whiskey fruit, to keep this insane scale going.
And 40% ABV is a generous strength, which means that the spirit is really carrying it.
The question I have to ask myself about this is, what do you do with it? Aside from just sort of drinking it neat, which as demonstrated is perfectly possible to do. It's perfectly pleasant. We drink that, especially in the cooler weather. It's quite nice.
Perfect winter warmer. This
warming with the with those sort of esoteric medicinal flavours going
extra
on.
Sugars to sweeten the deal too.
It doesn't really like ice. I've tried it with ice. Didn't really like it. It doesn't like water, that's for sure. We could put a wee bit in just to see, but it does. It's pretty scared of
pass
water.
on the water.
Yeah.
This would be excellent in probably a plum pudding or a traditional soaked
No,
Christmas
I
pudding.
hadn't thought of puddings. I did try. I chucked a couple of cocktails at it. The fruity medicinal quality kind of makes it a bit tough there in cocktails, which rely, as so many of them do, on Angostura bitters.
Yeah.
It didn't really like being in Manhattan. It didn't really like being in an old fashioned. It was just ended up too spicy and too weird. Possibly if I came back around on it and maybe almost omitted the bitters and let it do its own thing with its own flavours, then it could maybe kind of do a Manhattan
I guess
thing.
since it's already got fruit and by extension sugar in it already, so that's going to reduce your options. Maybe a really dry ginger ale or ginger beer.
Yeah, there'll be the Scotch and soda psychopaths out there probably wouldn't mind this in a tall glass. I think it would. They're extending that flavour. There might be something to that, but I'm fairly happy just to sort of sit on this.
It is good on its own
on a cool winter's evening. Scores. I don't think we can really justifiably give it.
No, I agree.
Because it's just being a liqueur. Even if it is a spirit first, it just wouldn't fit.
It's a school of liquor production. It is just outside anything we have real experience in.
But I think we can say that we like it.
Yeah.
But it is weird. It's a weirdo spirit. Maybe for weirdo drinkers.
Maybe it could be part of it's part of a norm of spirit production for that area of Europe.
Very likely. They're into all sorts of stuff. Bison grass vodka, pepper vodka. There's all kinds of.
Yeah.
It's all about the flavourings in that part of the world.
Yeah, something we don't often see in our part of the world, but it's good to have had this opportunity.
Yeah. So, cheers, Czechoslovakia. I'll have to see what else comes out of the Green Tree Distillery or some other ancient distilleries around those parts. It could be very, very interesting. So anyway,
Willing to bet there's some excellent gin these days.
Oh, I'm sure there was. They've never stopped with the gin. But anyway, that's just a little glimpse into what's going on in the former block over there, and we'll leave you with that and get back to something a bit more conventional next time around. Snaja.